Hi, and welcome to our kitchen. My name is Roman Longoria. I'm with the San Antonio Food Bank's Health and Wellness team, and today we're going to be preparing a traditional sauce from Mexican cuisine. The sauce is usually used during the summertime, but today we're going to be utilizing one of my favorite seasonal fruits, the mango. The recipe today is going to be winter chamoy, so let's cook. So to start our recipe off, we're gonna go ahead and get our ingredients together. We have mangoes, oranges, limes, dried hibiscus flower, dried apricots, chili powder, and salt. So I'm gonna start this recipe off first with my mango. Now, if you look at a mango, it has a seed right in the center. So I wanna cut around that seed so I can get that flesh out. So I'm gonna do that. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my knife. You always wanna be very careful. I'm going to pinch at the base of the blade and wrap my hand around that handle. So this knife does not go anywhere I don't want it to go. So now that I'm nice and safe, I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of cut a flat surface onto my mango. So when it sits on my cutting board, it's nice and flat. I'm not having to chase after it. And then I'm gonna tuck my fingers back into a nice little claw because I don't wanna cut my fingers. And thinking about that seed in the center, I'm gonna go ahead and cut around, just following that seed. And then I'm gonna flip it over and do the exact same thing on the other side. And then I'm going to just go around the edges so I can get as much of this meat off. Just being very careful with your fingers and just following the seed. And there we go. Then I'm going to take a spoon and I'm just gonna use this and I'm gonna start just going around, pulling that flesh up from the seed or from the skin. I'll cut that out. Cut this one out. And then I can just take this, put it down in there and just remove that skin. Just being very careful. Now I'm gonna start going ahead and chop my mango. Now this is gonna be pureed in a blender, so you're not gonna have to really worry about your knife skills right now. So just make sure you're very safe, pinch at the blade, hand around that handle, your other hand's in a claw, so we don't cut our fingertips. And then I'm just gonna cut. It's a little sticky, so sometimes it's gonna stick. And there we go, just nice big chunks. Like I said, it's gonna boil through. Keeping it going, and then I've got my nice big chunks of mango. And I'm gonna go ahead and add this to my pan for when I start my simmering process. Now I have a seasonal fruit inside my recipe. Now I'm gonna take my hibiscus flowers. These are gonna be dried hibiscus flowers. I'm gonna take them and I'm gonna want about 1 cup of my dried hibiscus flower. And I'm gonna wanna strain these through. I wanna rinse off anything that might be found on the outside. I'll rinse this off just under some nice running water, cool running water. It doesn't have to be hot. You just wanna rinse this off. There we go, just a quick rinse and add this to my pan. Next, I'm gonna take my dried apricots, which I have right here. And I'm gonna do about a 1 cup serving of the dried apricots. You wanna make sure your apricots are pitted, and if not, you're gonna wanna take out that stone that's in the center. So I'm gonna go ahead and add the apricots to my pan. I'm gonna start this off, and I want it to be at a slow simmer. We're gonna go ahead and simmer this on a low simmer for about 20 to 25 minutes. Now that my ingredients have been simmering for about 20 minutes, I'm gonna turn off that heat, put it to another side of my pan, and I'm gonna let that cool for a little while. So now that they've cooled, you can take a look, and you can see that those apricots are nice and plump now. They absorb that water. The jicama flowers have softened, and the mango is nice and soft. So So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna wanna strain this through. So I'm gonna take any container, a bowl container, and a strainer. I'm gonna strain this through. I wanna be very careful. This one is still just a little bit warm, and I'm gonna strain this through. See all that beautiful color? That's all coming from the hibiscus flower. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and strain this through, reserving my liquid, and reserving all of that delicious, what's inside my delicious meat that's inside my pan. So what I wanna do now is I wanna go ahead and add my citrus, which is a great source of vitamin C, especially during the winter time. I'm going to cut this in half, and I'm going to go ahead and squeeze this inside my pan. Trying to get as much juice out as possible, getting all that flavor. It's going to have really nice sweetness to this dish. These off to the side. Now I'm going to take my limes. Anytime I'm working with a lime, what I want to do is I'm gonna just kind of roll it on my cutting board, break up those membranes. So what I wanna do is I wanna roll it on my cutting board, break it up, make it kind of soft inside when it's kind of pliable to both of my limes. Roll that through, see? You can see those essential oils. The smell in this room is absolutely amazing with that lime. I'm gonna cut these in half now, softly, because I don't wanna lose any of that juice. And I'm gonna squeeze this inside into my mixture with the jicama, the apricots. Now it has orange, lime, just kind of really layering up a lot of different flavors into this. My next one, take this, squeeze it inside, try to get as much juice out as possible. You can, if your hands are hurting, you can also use your squeezer. Or if you don't have a squeezer, any kind of spoon, you can do the exact same thing. You can just kind of squeeze it through and use that, and that's also gonna get a lot of that juice out. So now I have my juices, my hibiscus flower, my apricots, and my mango, and I'm gonna go ahead and take this over to my blender to start the next process. I wanna get my sugar and my chili powder, because that's what I'm gonna add into my blender. So now I've got my citrus, I've got my hibiscus flower, my apricots, my mango, and I'm gonna add all of this inside my blender. Set this off to the side. I'm gonna add my sugar, and I'm gonna add my chili powder. And I wanna take this to a very smooth consistency. I want a smooth sauce to go with. I'm going to turn this on. And what I'm looking for is I want a nice smooth consistency. If it's still pretty chunky, what I want to do, I'm going to add that reserved liquid that I took out when I strained it through. So I'm going to put a little bit of that in there. And this is gonna be entirely up to you. If you like a thick chamoy, you want a thin chamoy, the sky's the limit. The thinner it is, the easier it is to drizzle. If you like it nice and thick, like as a dipping sauce, then that's okay too. So as we can see here, I just had to actually add very little of a nice chamoy here, loaded with color, loaded with vitamin C, has a lot of fiber. This looks absolutely delicious right here. And I think this is ready. I'm gonna bring it over here so I can show you the final presentation. I've got a nice little fruit and vegetable bowl for you right here. I have some jicama, some cucumbers, some pineapple. All of these things are actually seasonal produce right now that you can get in your local grocery store. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna drizzle just a little bit over the top, adding a lot of flavor to what already is pretty flavorful. And there we go. So I'm gonna go ahead and drizzle this through, and now it's time for a taste test. A lot of that flavor on there. It just came out great. I can taste that citrus, and the sweetness, that sourness, and then drizzled over these seasonal produce. This is a great dish to try out during the winter holidays. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Let's Cook.